Good day, everyone. For today's video presentation, I'll be sharing to you about environmental awareness. This is a continuation of climate change. Okay, so what is environmental awareness? Environmental awareness refers to understanding the fragility of our environment and the importance of its protection. Promoting environmental awareness is an easy way to become an environmental steward and participate in creating a brighter future for our children. So, to those individuals whom we see uh, conducting rallies about our environment, environmental protection, environmental conservation, we should open our minds that they are not doing it for their personal benefits. Rather, they're fighting not just for themselves, but even for us. Okay, but I'm not saying that for you to promote environmental awareness that you have to do such. Well, we can always create or we can always start with our own practices, um, which in effect would have a domino effect, not just to our family, but even to our community. Okay, so along these, so as we proceed with this presentation, you'll be able to identify what are those practices um, which will somehow consider you as an environmental steward. Okay, so environmental awareness to define it, we must first understand the environmentalist movement. So, environmentalism is an ideology that evokes the necessity and responsibility of humans to respect, protect, and preserve the natural world from its anthropogenic or caused by human afflictions. Okay, so there are no other individuals or there are no other organisms aside from us who are who are affecting who are affecting um, who are should I say disturbing or devastating the environment. So it is in this regard that 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 these environmental awareness, maybe in the form of protection, conservation, should begin with us. Okay, it doesn't begin with other animals because in the first place, um, they're not again they're not disturbing the environment. So environmental awareness is an integral part of the movement's success by teaching our friends and family that the physical environment is fragile and indispensable. So we can begin fixing the problems that threaten it. Okay, so when we protect the environment or when we conserve the environment, um, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't come along with our profession just because you are an entrepreneur that you will not have that you don't have space uh, to participate in environmental awareness, regardless if what profession you belong, regardless if which walk of life you belong. Environmental awareness is everyone's game. Okay, so the importance, or the single most important thing that environmental awareness does, is to inform people of the dangers of continuing to consume as much as we currently do. This is because people need a good understanding of the threats to our Earth. To fully realize the scale of the harm, the awareness is on topics like environmental health, sustainable development, and global warming. So, what is environmental health then? It is defined as aspects of human health that are determined by physical, chemical, biological, social, and psychological factors in the environment. This effectively means that a healthy environment leads to healthy people. As a result, organizations should be really careful about recycling and disposing of materials. We rely on our earth to supply us with clean water, breathable air, and healthy food, all of which can be put in danger with sloppy throwing away of rubbish. Okay, so as I said in previous discussions that I had with you, that um, if climate change affects the biodiversity, and in turn biodiversity affects our health, well, biodiversity or the natural resources really have the impact with our health. That means to say that if we take care of our environment, we do good sustainable practices, then we are creating a greener environment. Okay, and we have to do this because again, a lot of ecological services such as this clean water, clean air, and even the nutrients, we derive these from the environment or from nature. So without a healthy environment, let's say you have a polluted water, polluted air, um, well, basically, that would go back to us. So, in other words, we'll become unhealthy then. Okay, next is sustainable development. So the United Nations defines sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The UN includes fighting poverty, hunger, lack of water and food as essential sustainable development goals. Okay, so again, by definition, sustainable development, meaning to say, we're not just thinking of the present, but we also consider the future or the generations to come. Okay, so for example, what we are doing now here on Earth, actually like the dumping of our garbages, specifically those mga plastics and whatever garbages that we have, those are not considered as sustainable practices. It's because for now. Um, we do not feel yet it's the effect really the effect but the effect would I mean the impact, the long-term impact would be experienced by the generations to come. It's because if we throw garbages today, so so sooner or later the earth will no longer be livable, and so there is no sustainable practices in here. Okay, so if we do sustainable development, so what we're doing now again would affect or would have an impact in the future. So for example, um, uh, like planting trees. Okay, so that's a very basic one. No? When you plant trees, we do not just benefit today, but even the future generations would of course benefit. Okay, so there are a lot of practices or sustainable practices, which you can. Which actually leads to sustainable development. And what are those practices which we cannot consider as sustainable? Okay, mining. Mining is an example of a practice um, which is not good to the environment and of course to us. So, for example, we're extracting minerals. Okay, so these minerals are non-renewable. Okay, so if it happens that all these minerals are already mined, processed and turned into products. So the sad thing is that for future generations, they might no longer know what for example an iron that we are mining right now. So sooner or later, the future generation will no longer see what iron is. No, okay. So much like trees, if we cut trees today, so, or if you're going to degrade out to mine, if you are mining the mountains, but sooner or later you might just uh your kids might ask what mountain is, and the best that you or the least that you can do or the best that you can do is just to draw what mountain is. Okay, so next is reducing global warming. Okay, so it goes without saying that global warming is important. This is because it is the most present threat to our planet. Therefore, you as an organization should look to reduce your carbon footprint, and there are a number of ways to do this. According to small business trends, these include going paperless. Okay, so just as what we're doing right now. So instead of sending mails written in papers, so we resort to electronic mails. Recycling, turning off PCs and other electrical equipments when you go home. Okay, so that is if you are in the office, for example. Okay, but I'm very much guilty with this one because my PC, um, I barely shut it down. Most of the time, I just put it in a sleep mode. and that may that would have an impact. Okay, so using low power appliances, working from home. So if you happen to watch the news about the ozone layer is healing, it's because well, one big reason is, of course, by that during that time, some industries are not doing manufacturing, and aside from that, transportation was restricted, so everybody has to work home, and with that, there will be no emissions of greenhouse gases. It's because nobody is going into the offices, and so as for the students, nobody's going to school and going back home. Okay, so planting trees, cycling to work, that's walking to work, replacing business trips with video conferences as often as you can. So this is actually what's happening right now. So maybe because of COVID, it's one way that God is healing the earth. It's because rather than again, as I said here, rather than doing business personally, so it has to be done online. Okay, so how to further promote environmental awareness? So begin promoting environmental awareness in your community. So even begin promoting it in your home, then eventually it will cascade into your community. So you must first make sure that you have a thorough understanding of environmental issues. Stay up to date on environmental news, read books, and other sources, and learn about the issues affecting your own community. It's much easier to talk about to others about the environment if you have already taken the time to educate yourself. So this is what I'm saying to you a while ago, that everybody has his own share to the health of our environment. So begin with yourself, then then inform your family, and then again it's much like pyramiding. So that effort would eventually affect your community and the nation in general, and if not, the world. Okay, so what are these environmental issues? Okay, so we begin with oil spill. So this issue is one of the causes of a great deal of environmental destruction. So our dependence on fossil fuels is a global addiction that affects every aspect of the world. Oil spills and offshore drilling poison marine life. Oil drilling on land suffocates the earth, and the combustion of fossil fuels add to the increased atmospheric carbon dioxide, which in turn causes the progression of global warming and ocean acidification. This is a multifaceted issue and is a good cause to get involved with because it covers such a broad spectrum of issues. Okay, so I will just cite one example here. For example, in the marine environment, if there is oil spill, although the oil does not associate with water, meaning to say oil is immiscible with water, it did not mix well. Well, what happens is that if it happens that it will be spilled on a body of water, so the living organisms below will of course be affected. So one reason, gases might not dissolve into the water, or light might not dissolve into water, and this may be eaten by some organisms living into that particular body of water. And again, the world, everything is connected. Therefore, those organisms who happen to intake oil because of oil spill, then eventually we eat that particular organism. So it just enters into our system, and so we are affected. Okay, so this is an example of an offshore drilling, which has become a liability for the GOP. I think GOP pertains to Republicans. So they are caught between oil industry donors who want offshore drilling and coastal waters who fiercely oppose it. Okay, so this is an example of an offshore drilling. So it turns out to be a major accident. Okay, and again, um, it will just lead to oil spill because it's an offshore drilling of oil. So basically, there's a large reserve of oil here. Okay, so And again, we cannot afford this oil to scatter, to spill over this particular body of water, because again, it would affect the marine ecosystem. Okay, so another environmental issue is deforestation. Okay, so deforestation, there are millions of acres of forest are cut down for industrial benefit, such as large-scale farming, oil mining, and the production of paper goods. Deforestation causes wildlife and biodiversity extinction because the loss of habitat threatens many species' existence. So the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) has a red list of environmentally threatened species with up-to-date information. So this is an example of deforestation. So there's deforestation here because of mining. So it's mining in Surigao do Sur, as you can see, but that's the concept of ecology is this one. So whatever is being, I mean, whatever activities you have on top of the mountain would always have an effect on the lower area. So meaning to say, if you're going to mine here and you're not going to mine this portion, this and the lower portion, but still with the concept of gravity, so everything is pulled down towards the earth. So again, um, it turns out that the siltation will go down, and so it affects the body of water. But our focus here is on deforestation. So again, there is deforestation because of mining. So of course, they have to cut down trees. Otherwise, if they do not cut down trees, it would be hard for them to excavate this soil. So, by the way, this soil, if my memory serves me right, are I think sent to China or Japan, and because Surigao del Sur has a lot of reserve for iron, nickel. Okay, so another is the production of plastic goods. So currently, our society creates a great deal of waste, and much of that waste consists of plastic. According to the Environmental Protection Agency in 2010 alone, 31 million tons of plastic waste was created. So this waste end up all over the globe in both land and water. A good example is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Not only is the plastic waste an issue, but the production of plastic is also dependent on fossil fuel combustion. So, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration in 2010, 191 million barrels of liquid petroleum gases and natural gas liquids were used in the U.S. alone to produce plastic goods. Okay, so these are the sources of my presentation, and for this topic, you have two tasks. So first is you're going to work in group, then you're going to capture an Instagrammable quote unquote photograph of an activity in your community, which likely contributes to climate change. So you have to select one from your group members who will post your photo in our Facebook group. Then in the comment section, you have to individually write your thoughts on how does this particular activity will cause climate change and what possible alternatives may be done in lieu of this. Okay, so for an example, you're to capture a jeepney, uh, which is emitting black smoke. So you might recommend that instead of this one, we can use those electric cars, and what other or restrict these jeepneys and encourage people to do cycling or walking instead. Then another photograph, still Instagrammable, you're going to submit this one, and this photograph reflects practices that prevents climate change. So write individually as well as your reflection in the comment section. So meaning to say you have to write two reflections, one for the first photograph and the other one is for the second photograph. Then the second task is still you have to work in group. Select one alternative energy resource which carbon footprint is none or significantly lower than using fossil fuels. Report this in class. Okay, so that ends my presentation, and thank you.